Hey, this is Kevin with Consumer Reports, and what I'm showing here is my new Ruger Precision Rimfire rifle. And this part of the review, I'm going to try to talk about all the external and operational features. And the configuration I'm showing right here is actually going to be the configuration that I'm going to use for range testing. And I'll strip it back down into the basic model here in just a second. What I've added to the rifle here in this configuration is a short section of M-LOK rail, clearly a bipod on the front, some mounts, and a Zeiss scope. What I've done here is to go ahead and remove the bipod and the scope and the mounts, and so I'm showing you here basically what you get when you purchase the rifle. Now again, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here and give you a look at this little short section of M-LOK rail, which I added right here. I think it's 1.5 inches in length, and the reason it did not come with the rifle, but you'll see it in the rest of the video. It didn't come with the rifle, and in my opinion, I think that's a con. I think Ruger should have provided this piece of rail with this setup. They didn't. I mean, it's not expensive. You can order them on Amazon or different locations, but I did add that. So as you're looking at the video, just keep that in mind. All right, you can see that the rifle comes with, I'm going to call it a bull barrel. It's about a 0.86 inches in diameter. It's 18 inches in length. The material is 1137 alloy steel, and Ruger says this gives like ultra precise rifling with that particular alloy steel. You can also see that it comes threaded, and I'll go ahead and remove the thread protector off the end of it. And when you remove it, you'll see that there's no O-ring under it. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just saying it's a fact. For example, I recently reviewed the Ruger PC carbine, and there was a rubber O-ring there to let to act like a lock washer so that the vibrations didn't cause it to work loose. This being a rimfire rifle, yeah, it's probably not going to be the case. But anyway, there's a very beefy steel thread protector here, and you can see the thread protector actually got some, it's not the same on both sides. It can only be screwed on one direction. It comes with a 1/2 28 thread here on the front, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's actually got a beveled crown right inside there to help protect the end of the muzzle right there. So from just looking at it, I think Ruger's done a pretty good job with that end of the barrel. They've also included this 15 inches in length from here to here, free float handguard, and it's got an M-LOK configuration. And what you'll notice is that it's got a full M-LOK profile at 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and 9 o'clock on the other side. And then it's got these angle slots in here, which are more for styling until you get to this first, we'll say 3 inches or so, 3.5 inches, to where it does have a very small M-LOK profile at about 130, 430, and then symmetric on the opposite side. So it gives you the option of being able to install some type of M-LOK accessory, not just top, bottom, left, right, but also on these at these 45-degree angles. The handguard's also made from a black anodized aluminum, and it's got a very slim profile, which for me, you can see I can wrap my hand all the way around it like that, and I'll get a measurement here in just a second. And it measured roughly about, we'll say 1.6 inches across these flats. So again, it's got a relatively small profile, which I think has got a good feel for this rifle. The only marking that I could find on the rifle with the handguard installed was up under the barrel here in the front. You can see that it's got 22 LR engraved in the bottom of the barrel, which basically tells you that this is chambered in 22 long rifle. As you get further down the handguard, you can see that the Ruger name is engraved here into the side of the handguard on the right side, but on the left side there's no engraving. In the receiver area of the chassis, you can see that Ruger decided to go through and style it very similar to their Ruger Precision rifle, and I think they did a really nice job in trying to match the styling for this Rimfire platform. And what I want to point out is that it's really a chassis system, to where there's really a solid piece that goes from this point back here into the buttstock all the way up to this point right here in front of this receiver magwell area. And what they've done is they really made that out of a solid, it's probably glass-filled nylon, and because it's solid, it really has a very solid feel to it. I mean, when you first pick it up and you look at it, you might think, wow, that's a aluminum billet that's machined through there. But when you start looking at it closer, and you can look at it, and I'll flip it over here on its side, like on the trigger guard right here, you can see that there's actually a seam right here for the mold that was put together for that. But because it's a solid part, again, it has a very sturdy feel, which is, in my opinion, is what you would want for some type of precision platform. You know, this being chambered in 22 long rifle, you know, you're really not dealing with the recoil forces that you would on a more significant rifle. But I think that this platform right here has the opportunity to be chambered in some other, we'll say, slightly higher energy rimfire platforms, and do a very good job. I'm hoping this comes out in the video, but you can see how Ruger's got their Ruger logo at the bottom of the mag well area right there in front of the bolt. And you can also see how the safety on the right hand side's got the mark on the end of the safety lever here, the pin portion, to be able to show you the safe and fire locations along with the Ruger name right here. And I'm pretty sure it's coming out good on the video, but it really, I mean, again, they've really done a nice job on that. While I'm also showing you this, you can see that Ruger decided to go ahead and put this oversized bolt handle here on the bolt itself. And to me, I'm pretty sure that it's a machined aluminum that's threaded on the end of the steel bolt handle right here. And if you wanted to remove this and install your own knob portion right here, it's got an Allen head hex insert or inset right here to be able to remove the end of that handle. For me, when I was looking at the receiver area, you know, I started really paying a little bit more attention to this ejection port that they've got right here. And when I started looking at yeah, you got the bolt here, and you pull it back, and you know, you see you got your nice ejection port, and you got your Ruger standard magazine in here. But then it's like, man, that port seems a lot longer than it should be. So I went and I grabbed like a 22 mag round, and what I'm trying to show here is that when you look at the size of that round right there, let's see if I can do it differently. If you look at the size of that round here, and you look at the size of that ejection port, I'm pretty sure Ruger has gone ahead and planned ahead for them to chamber this particular platform and other cartridges than just 22 long rifle. So in my opinion, my guess is that sometime this year or maybe early next year, you're going to see this rifle chambered and I don't know, 22 mag, 17 HMR, or some of the other rimfire cartridges that are going to be able to fit with this ejection port right here. In the design of the bolt, and I'll say ejection port or other considerations for future calibers, Ruger decided to go ahead and give this platform the opportunity of having a bolt throw, in this case of about 1.5 inches for the 22 long rifle, or having a bolt throw that is even longer, up to 3 inches, to simulate we'll say some type of short action rifle. Now I'll have to pull the bolt out here, and I'll just press a lever on the other side, and I'll show it in a minute. But to do that, push it again, pull it on out. To have the longer bolt throw, what you're going to do is you're going to pop this little black band, or we'll say half moon type band, you're going to pop it off, and that's going to give you your full bolt throw. And I'll pop it off right here. Alright, to change it to the longer bolt throw, I've got to remove this half moon band here, and I'm going to try to do it on camera here. And so I'm going to take a screwdriver and I'm going to try to pry up right here to get that portion of the band up over the edge of the bolt. And I nearly had it. So I've got it up there right there, and I don't know if you can tell looking at it. So at this point I have to keep moving it up, and you can see how it's rotating around like that. And what I found is, once I get it up to about that part right there, I've got to take a little small screwdriver and just pry it a little bit more like that, and then that band will come off. And what you'll see for reinstallation is the band actually has a, let's see if you can tell, yeah, it has this shape right here, and so that part right there is going to nest right into that little groove right here when you put it back on. And then this other side right here, that little lip right there, is going to go back over this portion right here. With that band removed, what you're going to see is you're going to get a bolt throw similar to a short action rifle right here, which is much more than you would need for the 22 long rifle, but it gives you the opportunity to have a full bolt throw if you want to use this as a training rifle for some other shooting situation. In my mind, it also gives Ruger the opportunity to adjust where that band is installed on the bolt to potentially be able to handle, if they choose to, some longer caliber cartridges. Next, I'm going to try to show you how to reinstall the band for the bolt throw. And so what I'm going to do is take that area that has the two tabs on it, I'm going to put it right there in that section of the bolt, and then I'm going to go through and kind of push it down. And when you can see, I've pushed it to that point right there. And honestly, it's hard to push by hand any further, also because there's a lip that's right here. You're going to have to take something and pry it out just a little bit to get it over that lip, like I did there. Once you've got it to that point, you can kind of push it by hand, and you heard it snap right into place. So that band is reinstalled, and I'm back to that 1.5 inch bolt throw for a Rimfire cartridge now. Now I'm showing the left side of the chassis and receiver area, and I'll point out a couple of things. First of all, you can see that the same Ruger emblem is engraved into the chassis here, along with the Ruger name. You can see on the safety selector I've got safe and fire. What you'll notice also is that it's only a 45-degree throw on the safety selector, and it has a very, you can kind of hear it, it has a very positive detent position or restraint, whatever you want to call it right there. It's very, very positive, and you can kind of hear it clicking back and forth in place. As you come up on the receiver, you're going to see in here, maybe there's a 2D barcode, serial number, Ruger logo, Ruger Precision engraved right here, and it says Mayodan, North Carolina, USA. So this must be made in their relatively new North Carolina manufacturing facility. And right here, it's really hard to see, I don't know if you can see it, it's got engraved, Ruger's standard warning right here is read instruction manual before using firearm, which is about the smallest I've ever seen it put on one of their firearms. But anyway, so it's no big deal. As I was removing the bolt, you can see that Ruger's got a bolt removal lever right here. When you press on the back of it like that, the bolt normally stops. When you press on the back of it, then you can push the bolt further out, and in this case you can push it out like that, so the bolt comes out really easily. On top of the receiver is also mounted a 30 MOA, and you can see it's engraved back here in the very back lug here on the Picatinny rail. It's got 30 MOA there. So there's 30 MOA of cant that's put into this top rail, and it's secured with 4 fasteners with a Torx head tip on the top. And so that's to give you the opportunity to put a rifle on, not a rifle, a scope on here, so that your scope is biased to give you the most drop possible for shooting this rimfire platform out to, we'll say 200 or 300 yards. Now for the trigger. Ruger's installed their Ruger Marksman adjustable trigger that's adjustable from 2 1/4 to 5 pounds. And the trigger pull came in on this rifle here from the factory at about 2 3/4 pounds. And I've already measured it several different times with the my trigger pull scale. But the trigger on it's really nice. And so you can see there's a trigger safety right here. It's on fire right now. It's safe. But so if I go through, and what I'm going to try to show you here, as I pull the trigger, and if you can watch my finger, I'm applying pressure, and I didn't feel any creep at all. It just broke crisp at about 2 3/4 pounds. And I'll go ahead and do it again. There's just a hair of over travel, but I mean, there's not. I mean, to me, it'd be hard to say there's over travel, but there is. But again, if you watch my finger here as I go through and apply pressure, there it snapped right there. And there's just, again, the trigger on it's excellent. It came from the factory at 2 3/4 pounds. I went through and adjusted the pull weight down because it is adjustable, and I'll flip it over and show you where to do that. Let's see here. So if you can see down in that area right there, there's a set screw in there, and I'll show you the Allen wrench in just a second. But if you loosening that set screw will decrease pull weight, and tightening it or screwing it in will increase pull weight. I backed it off about a full turn, and I didn't really see any significant difference in pull weight. I did see maybe a couple of ounces difference, but that was about it. So I think it's already set pretty close to the bottom. I didn't achieve the 2 1/4 that Ruger stated, but I think I got down to about 2 pounds 10 ounces was the lowest I got to, which to me that's going to be good enough for this platform. I think you'd be happy with the trigger pull on this. Ruger's got their own pistol grip, which you can see here. I mean, it's not a mag pull grip. To me, it kind of looks like a mag pull grip. I'm assuming that Ruger makes them, but I don't know. And it's got the Ruger logo branded here at the bottom, and it's again, it's a polymer glass-filled nylon, most likely. It's got the portion right here that gives you a good finger position as far as holding the grip to where your finger should be up here. So it's got a good reach right there. The grip itself installs just like any other AR grip. I don't know if you can see in there and see the bolt, but it installs just like any other AR grip. So if you wanted to change it out to something of your own likings, you can do that. It's hollow at the bottom. I didn't see any way to be able to put any type of insert in there in case you wanted to use it for storage. It's smooth sides all the way around, so I don't think you can do that. But overall, the grip's got a good feel. I mean, I have more of a preference for a stickier Hogue style grip, but again, I've got a bunch of rifles that have the same Magpul style grip that you see here, and I also like those. So I mean, I think the grip's got a good configuration. The trigger guard is molded into the chassis itself, and it's a trigger guard. It's got some angular features or some squared off features, which I think kind of match the styling of the chassis itself. I think it's got plenty of room for your finger, or even a finger with a gloved hand. Might be a little tight, but I still think there's a lot of room in there for that. As you've already noticed here in the video so far, is that it comes with one of the BX15 15-round magazines, which fit the Ruger 1022 also. And I think it was great for Ruger to standardize on that style magazine interface for this Rimfire platform, because you look at, I don't know, I've got a bunch of different 1022s, and I would imagine if you're buying this rifle, most likely you've got other 1022 magazines also. If you don't, after you buy this rifle, you may still go out and buy other 1022 platforms. But so I think it was really nice for them to standardize on that magazine interface. You can kind of see, again, when you look at the mag well, you can see the interface right there, and you can see the mag release lever right here that you push forward to release it. To me, it looks all that looks standardish towards a 1022. You can see the chassis got a couple of takedown screws, one here in the back and one in the front. I'm not going to take this off in this part of the review, but in another part of the review, I'll actually do a disassembly on it. I will point out that at the bottom of the handguard right here, you can see there's a slot right here. Most likely when I take the chassis off, what I'm going to find is there's a couple of screws which go laterally in here that allow you to pinch the back part of the handguard onto some type of feature on the receiver itself. Behind the bolt in this part of the chassis, there's actually a cover here, and it's kind of integrated into the chassis. And up under that cover is the Allen wrench used to adjust the trigger pull weight. And to remove the cover, and you really need two hands, but I'll show it on this side. But what you're going to do is you're going to kind of bend that out right there. But you're going to do it on both sides, and when you do, you're going to be able to lift this cover up. Alright, so I bent both of those sides out just slightly and lifted the back end up. And so now I can just keep lifting up on this and pull this cover up and out of the chassis. And again, this is some type of polymer, again, glass-filled nylon most likely. And what you're going to see is, right here, is the Allen wrench, which you can use to be able to adjust the pull weight. Reinstallation of that cover is pretty simple. You just slide it up under the back end of the bolt like that, and then you just kind of put it in place and push it down, and it'll snap right in place. The rifle comes with an adjustable buttstock that gives you, I think, about 3.5 inches of total length of pull adjustment. And so right now I've got it set at something that to me felt pretty good, approximately what I'll use for range testing. To adjust it, what you do is you throw this lever right here, and throwing that lever gives you the option to basically loosen the mechanism which clamps this whole system together. And so there's a couple of things that are going on here. One is that you've got this comb, adjustable comb right here, that you can move it up or down, and you can see inside there maybe there's some teeth, so that when you adjust it to wherever you want and you clamp it back down, the teeth really just lock it in place and keep that height where you want it. Now I'll go through and take it loose. Again, you can see it's loose and I can adjust it. Now as far as length of pull, you can see I can adjust this in or out, and there's also some teeth right in this area right here, so that as I lock it down, there's going to be some type of engagement into the teeth here on this part of the buttstock for length of pull. Now you can also adjust the position of this comb adjustment right here. Let me see if I can do it with one hand. But you can see, hopefully, that I can keep the buttstock where it's located right now, and I can move this, we'll say forward, yeah, there we go, forward or back like that. So I can also actually adjust the placement of this part right here with respect to the trigger or the buttstock, in the lengthwise direction of the rifle. So they give you those adjustment features. And when you lock it in place, actually it's pretty tight and it's pretty sturdy. Again, for a rimfire platform, I think that's probably all that's needed. They do give you one more option of adjustment, and you can adjust this butt pad height right here. And to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to loosen a screw here and a screw there, and then the butt pad is shown in the full down position. Then you can actually raise the butt pad up. I'll do that real quick. Now, once I've loosened those screws with the Allen wrench here, what you can see is I can actually move that butt pad up into its highest position there, giving you another level of adjustment to really make this shooting platform fit your body or your shooting style. Ruger's also integrated into the buttstock a couple of quick release locations on each side, one here and the same on the opposite side. They've also put in a very short piece of Picatinny rail molded into this part of the buttstock here, so if you wanted to mount one of the buttstock monopods on the back, you could. And they've also made a loop area right here, so if you had a bag that had a loop on it, a rear bag, then you could actually loop it to this to be able to pinch the buttstock of the rifle up and down for shooting. So they've added in, you know, some features into this, which I think are really good overall. In looking at this platform in general, the only thing that's really bugs me about it is that I think Ruger should have added in a short piece of rail for the front so that you had an option to be able to mount some type of bipod. And so again, I added this section right here myself. But other than that, I mean, I'm pretty impressed. Other than that, I'm pretty impressed with this particular rifle. I think that covers all the external and operational features on this Ruger Precision rimfire rifle. And I think, you know, overall, I think Ruger's really done a nice job in putting this together. I was really a little bit surprised at how well this platform has come together for the price point. Ruger's MSRP on this rifle is at $529, and I would imagine that you're going to be able to find this in the stores anywhere between, we'll say, $5.25 to maybe $4.25 to $4.50 or $4.75 in the end. So I think they've really put together a very competitive platform for a rimfire bolt action for something that's going to be precision if it'll shoot. And you know, I've got pretty high expectations for it. I think Ruger does a nice job with their rifles, but at this point I haven't put a single round through it except study it and get ready to do that. So the results of the range testing and what kind of accuracy I can get out of this platform is really going to be shown in another part of this review. Having said all that, that kind of wraps up this part of the review. And if you like this review, please like or subscribe or both. And you can look for the range testing and disassembly of this particular rifle here and some other parts of this particular review. You can also find a web page version of this part of the review at my website, gunsumerreports.com, and just look for Ruger Precision Rimfire, and I think you'll get to it. I'll also add a link in the description below. Thanks.